Wisconsin got upset yesterday in the first round of the NCAA tournament, falling as the number 5 seed, the 12th-seeded High Point, 83-82 in Portland. Badgers had a chance to win the game in the final seconds. Nick Boyd's layup got blocked, ending the Badgers' season and Boyd's college career.
Yeah, I mean, I know this moment don't define my career, been through a lot. Highs and lows, ups and downs, and I kept going. So I'm grateful to be here, and a lot of people don't get the opportunity to even get upset. So, but I'm just grateful. I got no complaints.
Boyd finished with a game like 27 points, 6 assists, become his first Wisconsin player since Michael Finley back in 1995 to average better than 20 points per game for a season. John Blackwell scored 20 of his 22 points in the first half while adding 10 rebounds. Austin Rapp had 12 points and 4 rebounds. Greg Gard dropped to 7 and 8 in his career in NCAA tournament games, but now 0-3 against number 12 seeds.
In terms of how this group has grown, this group deserved to go far. They were good enough to go farther. They ran a new team and played really, really well and did what they had to do.
Wisconsin closed the season at 24-11. Now their attention turns to keeping Blackwell and Winter around for another season. As for the Bucks, they got blown out in Utah last night, falling 128-96.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareer.wi.org or just search online for ABC Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers starting their pre-draft visits as they ramp up preparations for next month's draft. They don't have a first-round pick due to the Micah Parsons trade. And Brewers opening day now just 6 days away. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
I don't think it diminishes necessarily what Nick Boyd did this year, but I think we will think about him and John Blackwell differently, even though they, put together – how many points they have? 49 together today? Was it 27 and 22?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were essentially the two that showed up. Austin Rapp had, I think, 12 as well. But you would think of this group differently if they had gotten to the second weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
those two guys, those specific guys I'm saying, with Nick Boyd's legacy here is at Wisconsin. Great Badger, great player, but I don't know that we're going to be thinking about him for years.
It's hard to say this was a great team just based on how it ended.
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me, make the case.
Great team. Why not?
In terms of how this ended?
I mean, great teams make it the March Madness. High Point's a great team. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
A little bit from Zach Heilprin last night and a little audio. I played that exchange. We talked about that exchange with Zach last night. Nick Boyd and Jim Polzine talking about whether it's a good season, a very good season. Probably can't call it a great season if you lose in the first round. And I want to circle back. I want to begin with that thing to start tonight's show. We did 2 full hours on the Badgers basketball loss to High Point last night. We're not going to do another 2 full hours. I mean, look. If the phone calls keep coming in and that's what people want to talk about, I'll do that. But my thought was I give you an opening take on the Badgers basketball season and the loss yesterday. A little bit bigger picture because yesterday we talked a little bit more in detail about the actual basketball game. And then we can work in some other topics tonight. A Bucks topic that I want to get, and I'm going to operate kind of quickly in this first segment because Ty Windisch, the Eurostep podcast, going to join us at 4:15 to talk about a rather big Bucks story that was published by Ramona Shelbourne at ESPN earlier today. I'll be honest, I didn't even realize the Bucks were playing last night. I didn't even realize they had played last night until like an hour into Bill's show. And I'm like, wait, the Bucks played? They lost to who? By how many? Lost by 32 to the Jazz. So I don't apologize for not being aware of that game. We were focused on March Madness, and my God, the Jazz were just fined money for not being competitive. That's how bad they're. Not only are they bad, they're trying to be worse. And the Bucks lost by 32? So we're not going to talk about the team. That hasn't been interesting. And with all due, since Giannis came back and the team just went in the tank, they haven't been interesting in like 2 or 3 weeks. But the ESPN story that came out today is about how nobody knows who's in charge with the Bucks at the top. The ownership is they're tag teaming decisions. And when, people working for other teams or agents call the Bucks, they don't even know who's in charge. And that's a big deal considering they have a big decision to make on Giannis this summer. That's the story. And that would be a story whether it was the Bucks or the Packers or the Brewers. It has very little, if anything, to do with the team on the floor, which again hasn't been interesting at all in weeks. So I'll give you a little bit of a primer just in case you haven't seen that story today. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes on that before our first break. Then we'll break and we'll pick up Ty Windisch at 4:15 and we can get his take on it. I'm really excited to talk to Ty. He hasn't been on in a while. But like I said, I want to start with the Badgers and their season big picture. Last night I said, I want to focus on the game. The game's interesting. We have a game to talk about. Well, tonight I want to talk a little bit more about the season, at least to start the show. Big picture. And I played that soundbite from Zach for a reason because he used what I believe is the perfect word in that soundbite. And I'm going to play it one more time, just independent of the intro. This is Zach last night talking about what an opening round loss does for the way we perceive the season that just finished and the way we individually perceive especially the Badgers' 2-star players in the backcourt, John Blackwell and Nick Boyd.
Like, I don't think it diminishes necessarily what Nick Boyd did this year, but I think we will think about him and John Blackwell differently, even though they, put together, how many points they have? 49 together today? Was it 27 and 22?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were essentially the two that showed up. Austin Rapp had, I think, 12 as well. But you would think of this group differently if they had gotten to the second weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
those two guys, those specific guys I'm saying, those with Nick Boyd's legacy here is at Wisconsin. Great Badger, great player, but I don't know that we're going to be thinking about him for years.
So I love the phrase Zach says, it doesn't diminish what Nick Boyd and John Blackwell did, or it doesn't diminish how we view them. It doesn't diminish how we view the season. I've listened to Nick Wright for a long time. He's been on Fox Sports 1. First Things First used to be on in the morning. Now it's on in the afternoon. I don't pay attention as much to his show as I used to. I used to catch a segment or two almost every day. Now maybe once or twice a week. But when I was in college, and even before I started doing this radio show, so this is back in like 2017, 2018, I don't remember when he stopped, but Nick Wright used to do middays or afternoons on Mad Dog Sports Radio. And he would just do solo radio, and I'd listen to him a lot. And for a long time, I've heard him repeat a take. He's often said legacies can't go backwards. And I don't know that I fully agree with that because I think there are outliers. I think a great player can be so bad at the end of their career that we actually think about them differently. Or I think a player can have a great career and then they can do something so stupid on the field or off the field that I think a legacy can go backwards. But in the vast majority of cases, I think legacies can't go backwards. They can only stay static. So if you think a player is really, really good, we think this player is a 7 out of 10. And then in the final 5 years of their career, they come up short. They have some bad seasons. I mostly agree with Nick Wright's take that I've heard for a long time that a legacy can't go backwards. I don't think that player can go from a 7 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10. That player simply can't go any higher than a 7. I thought that player would always be a little bit better, but they're still really good. I thought that a player would get to, 0.123. Instead, they're stuck at ABC. Giannis is a good example. When Giannis first won his title, and at that point he had 2 MVPs and a Defensive Player of the Year, most improved, like just decorated. When he won that title, we all thought, one day could he be this? One day could he turn out to be that? And the Bucks have come up short in the playoffs for a myriad of reasons ever since. I don't think less of Giannis now than I do the summer that he won the title. It's just that his legacy didn't advance. He didn't become a worse player. He didn't become a worse pro in my eyes. He just didn't get any better. He didn't become any. And I feel the same applies to a college basketball season. I don't think an early tournament exit can diminish a player or a regular season. It's just that an early tournament exit prevents a player or a season from being thought of any better. So let's say this Badgers season was a 6 or 7 out of 10 regular season. I don't want to haggle over the number. Let's just say 6 or 7. Damn it. I didn't even realize I was doing it. They finished 14-6 in conference play, 5th in the conference. Not great. It's some pretty bad losses. Nebraska, BYU, Oregon, USC. But they had 4 awesome wins. That's a pretty good regular season. I don't think a loss in the first round of the tournament takes a pretty good season and makes it a meh season. I just think it prevents a very good season from becoming a great season. So when we talk about this idea that a tournament loss doesn't diminish the legacy of Boyd or Blackwell, or it doesn't diminish how we view the season, I think that's a perfect way of framing it. And I wanted to circle back and hit again what Zach said. I don't think anything's diminished. It's just that to become something truly special, you got to do something in the tournament. And you can't be truly special until you get to the tournament. Therefore, you can't go from special to not special because you can't become special until you win in the tournament. Is this making sense? I don't think the legacy of a college basketball team or a college basketball player can go backwards because of what happens in the NCAA tournament. I just think that legacy remains stuck. And I'm watching a lot of Mad Men right now. It doesn't exactly apply, but Don Draper does, I believe, say, let's say that change is neither good nor bad. It just is. I think the Badgers' regular season was what it was, and the tournament isn't an opportunity to make it worse. It's an opportunity to either get better or stay the same, and the Badgers season and the players that participated in that season, for me, just kind of stayed the same. Just good. Good season with some great wins. And that's it. So I saw some hyperbole about Nick Boyd, all-time Badger. No. Great player, very good season with great wins, but that's not the type of season or player that we remember for a long time. A little background on what we're about to talk with Ty Windisch about on the other side of this break. A big Buck story today. It has nothing to do with the basketball on the floor. I said I wouldn't beat you over that with Bucks talk right now because the team stinks and they haven't been interesting. But this was written by Ramona Shelbourne at ESPN earlier today. She sat down with Wes Edens and who was it? Wes Edens and Jimmy Haslam. Yes, in a joint 90-minute interview. This is from the horse's mouth. This is Wes Edens. Giannis is going into the last year. The team's controlling owner until April 2028, Eden says. So one of two things will happen. Either he will be extended or he will be traded. The likelihood you'll just let him play out that last year, we can't afford that. It's not consistent with what's good for the organization. That's not a Giannis issue. That's any player in their last year. It's the end of the quote. And this is more from Ramona Shelbourne. Yet team sources, rival executives, and league insiders question whether the situation is that simple. Interviews with more than a dozen people with knowledge of the situation say what's happening in Milwaukee goes beyond a typical NBA franchise's struggle to maintain a winning roster. A unique ownership structure has made it difficult for opposing franchises to identify who is actually running the team. One source says, this is a quote, "This has nothing to do with whether Giannis asks out. It's about who's making the decisions on whether to trade Giannis. And I don't think anyone knows that. I deal with them all the time, and honestly, it depends on the day. They're not even close to being ready to make a decision like that." So again, I'm not bringing Bucks talk to the show tonight because, is Ryan Rollins or Ousmane Dieng, what does the team look like? They lost by 32 to the Jazz last night, and the Jazz were recently fined for trying to lose. That's who they're losing to by 30 plus, which maybe you could argue is good or bad for the Bucks, but it just shows how low they've sunk. I don't want to talk about the team. I want to talk about one of our Wisconsin teams that seems so discombobulated at the top. We don't really know who's making decisions, which is a problem as we approach a summer where the Bucks are going to have to decide what to do with Giannis. What they do with Giannis and how they proceed with what they do with Giannis could define how this Bucks franchise is set up for a long time. This also explains to me a little bit probably why we haven't heard from John Horst. If I was John Horst, I would not want to be a public face of any of this because I don't know that John Horst is solely making any of these decisions. And if I'm a general manager doing the bidding of owners, not just one owner, but multiple owners, I don't want to be the face of the thing. I don't want people thinking it's my decision to still have Doc Rivers here. I don't want people thinking that I'm the one pulling all the strings of the roster. I'm not. So this also maybe gives me a little bit of an insight into why, as Lori Nickel and others have written about so critically, why John Horst has kind of been MIA through all of this as the team has fallen apart over the last month. But really, it goes farther back than that. Ty Windisch is going to join us next, Eurostep Podcast, to talk about this. And then the rest of the show, we'll probably continue to talk about the Bucks situation. We'll circle back to the Badgers and anything else you want to discuss. It's a free phones Friday, so your phone calls will be welcome. But next, a special guest we haven't had on in a while. I'm excited to talk to Ty. Ty Windisch will join us in 3 minutes.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
We played awful, didn't play with any competitive spirit tonight. I thought the first group set the tone. I thought the first group came in, everyone on the team, on that group was trying to score. So funny, we had a shoot around today where the ball was moving, everything was second action. First 6 times, the guy who was supposed to go to kept it. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's on me to get them to play right, so.
That's a hilarious soundbite. I know no one loves Doc Rivers. And I've been saying this on the show for probably about a year now. I can at least appreciate the humor, the painful, tortured Doc Rivers humor. He's always good for just a ridiculous comment. I don't know what it was. The ball was moving great and shoot around. Well, that very well could be true. Coach Rivers, the Bucks lost by 32 to the Jazz last night. Good God. Ty Windisch is here. Eurostep podcast. Ty, am I a complete and total sadist for at least finding a little humor in Doc Rivers? Like, you got to laugh. What else do we have right now? Yeah. You have to.
I mean, Doc as orator is like maybe with Giannis sitting out now for a while, the best any individual Buck is at anything. So, if you want to appreciate someone's gifts, this is really what we have. I've compared him to like, and I don't want to wade too far into these waters for you, but like when something bad happens and a politician is like, who's like sitting on the applicable committee or whatever is like, prayers up, like, man, somebody should fix this. Like you're actually the exact person who should fix this. That's Doc. Like, they just don't listen to. I don't know. Someone should do something. Like, no, you actually, that's your 10 mil. That's your thing. So
this is your thing. And I don't know anything about the way the Bucks are operating, which is why you are on. That's what we're going to talk about. Is I don't know how the Bucks are making decisions. My guess would be Doc will be done at the end of this year. And I listened to his comments through that lens. At the end of his clip there that I played, he just said, I'm on the coach. It's on me, whatever. Like, that's something that you say when you have 2 weeks left at work and you know you didn't do something and you're like, yeah, my bad, whatever, on to the next game. Like, that's kind of how I read it. Is that going to be done, do you think? Do you have any read on that or any gut feeling?
Well, that's I try to get, I'm not going to break any stories here. I try to get, kind of the vibe on this from various people that I chat with. And I do think, as with everything in pro sports and everything else, it is a follow the money situation.
Yeah.
So I think both sides would love to be done, but if Doc is the one who just steps away, he forfeits the rest of the money. Whereas if the Bucks fire him, coaches like most other NBA, like it's guaranteed. So I kind of think it somewhat depends, like, and we'll get into a lot of stuff, but like if Giannis is gone and they're just like clearly going to be terrible, maybe at that point, does he like, where's the value prop come in of like, fine,
Sure.
I'll take a little less, like I'll go to ESPN to make it up, I'll golf and I won't have to tank my record here. You know what I mean? Versus maybe they figure this thing out and then the game of chicken is like, well, if you want a new coach, you got to fire me. Like I'll take that bag. Like coaching Giannis for 10 mil is a pretty good deal. Like I don't just want to step away from that. But I think they need a change 1000%. So I hope that it is, but I think that's for people to say like, why not fire him now? I kind of think there's a game of financial chicken happening here is my guess.
No, and that would make total sense. People don't typically spend money when they don't absolutely need to, and people don't leave money on the table unless they have a really good reason to. So we're just talking about human nature, right? You talk about following the money. So this ESPN story is out, and basically it's Ramona Shelbourne explaining that it's kind of a cluster at the top because the Bucks have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Nobody really knows who's pulling the trigger on any of these things, and that's significant considering they have a decision to make on Giannis. But the thing that you commented on Twitter was that the Bucks have clearly outlined now on the record with Ramona Shelbourne that they are either going to extend or trade Giannis. And you pointed out that that's significant, which I agree. I think it's a great take. A lot of people on Twitter have been like, what do you mean? It's obvious. I don't think it is. So can you give your take on that? And then I can pick and ask follow-up questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's obvious that that's the logical line in the sand to draw, but I would also say the Bucks have not acted logically when it comes to Giannis. And by that, I mean the extent to which they've been willing to go has been, I mean, everyone pretty much around the league agreed their last offseason was extremely illogical. And you look at what the other teams did who had players out for basically the year. And now the Celtics are just like the land of milk and honey. We don't have Tatum, doesn't matter. We're second in the East. He's back anyway. But look at the Pacers too. But even the Celtics, like their summer, they didn't spend money, right? They shed those expensive players. They cut their tax bill. They accumulated some assets and did like basically what was going to be a mini rebuild, except they won. And the Pacers just leaned fully in, right? Like we're shutting everyone down. We're going to get this pick. Now maybe we turn this pick into Zubats, whatever, but all geared toward next season very clearly. The Bucks did the opposite in a relatively same position of, we're not going to sit here for a year and let Dame be expiring and kind of take our lumps. And we knew they'd have a shot at a good draft pick with the protections even beforehand. Knew New Orleans wasn't going to be great, so they'd likely have a decent pick at least. They could have done the same thing those two teams did. Ate the medicine, planned to like have this second era of Giannis ball, basically.
And I'd argue, knowing what we know now, they'd be probably no worse for wear. Like had they done that,
they'd probably be better off. They'd probably be better off. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair to say they'd be better off. But they didn't, right? They went all in. They said, we don't think, I think essentially the logic was, we don't think Giannis is going to entertain a gap year. We're going to show him how committed we are. We're going to waive and stretch one of the top 75 players of all time, have 22 mil or whatever in dead cap for the next 5 years, give Miles Turner over $100 million. And we're just going to keep trying. And the reaction was like, okay, like they're going to be probably better this year for it. But like, that's kind of an insane, desperate thing to do, as would be going into this offseason, right? And being like, we're just going to keep going all in and, we'll try to win him over later. He can sign the extension later. Like we'll run it down to the clock. Like that wouldn't have shocked me if that was their approach to this coming summer. I think it would have been the wrong thing for the future of the team. But if they were like, we're going to do literally every possible thing until the last second to keep this guy, that is how they've operated. And this is different. Publicly saying well ahead of time, no, if you don't sign it, we need to move you. That's what's good for the team. This is not a line of thinking they've ever entertained before.
So to try to summarize that, and I guess just speak it out loud to try to wrap my brain around it, there's been plenty of times where the Bucks have done something where it's like, well, that really doesn't make sense, or that's maybe not the smartest thing, but it's the Bucks and it's Giannis, and that's just how they're operating. which is understandable for a small town franchise with a superstar that's won them a title. So I get it.
100%.
The thing that another way that I'm trying to word this is one of the few times publicly, it's maybe the only time publicly that comes to mind where the Bucks have drawn any sort of line in the sand with Giannis. And maybe you could look a week ago or days ago when they're like, we want to shut him down. Like, for the most part, they've kind of let Giannis run the show. This week is really the first time that comes to mind, correct me if I'm wrong, where the Bucks have said, we actually need to draw some sort of a line in the sand.
Yeah, I think I would not even say the thing was shutting him down, because my whole issue with that entire storyline was they didn't just say it. They it came out from one side or the other. I really don't know which, that, they're coming to him and like, hey, we'd really like to. And he's like, no. That was the story that was reported. Again, like, who's the one, like, who has the power in that dynamic per the reporting? It's Giannis. And how insane is that? He's the player, the organization, the front office, the coaching staff are saying, like, there's no reason for you to play, big fella. I mean, you can accumulate some stats, see some home games. And listen, if they want to have him play a couple home games, I think that's fine, to be clear. But the position is like, he needs to be really healthy. And he has not looked really healthy at any point. We're not saying healthy Giannis can't play. It's like, you just hyperextended your knee. You have a bone bruise. Like, you should not come back in a week. That's actually insane for all of us, given the risk that could happen, that all these serious injuries we've seen around the league. And the story is like, yeah, Giannis is not open to it. The story, if the Bucks put their foot down there, the story is Giannis is pissed and the Bucks shut him down because it's not his call. The not the Lakers, he ended up there. The Mavericks did this with Luka 2 years ago, and people will say, oh, then Luka got traded. Well, the Mavs did that too. I mean, I'm not saying everything the Mavs do is right, but they basically tanked their way out of the play, and they were a lot closer, and they went and got Derek Lively, and Luka was pissed at the time. And Kyrie, I think, got shut down too. And I don't think I would have done that in that scenario, but they got to 10th pick. They got Derek Lively. They immediately went to the finals, right? Like, there's precedent for this move working, and Luka wasn't trying to get out of there, right? They surprise traded him. So even that, I would say, was not this. And that's why this is so important, I think, that they are very publicly, and not like through back channels, not like, oh, Bucks sources say, like, no, I'm going to, on the record, be like, we have to trade you if you don't extend. It's not like malicious, but that's just what we have to do for our team. Again, like, that's just not a position the Bucks have operated from, of like, this is what we have to do for the Bucks, not for the Bucks with Giannis.
Do you think the Bucks would consider playing one more year and letting him reach the end of his contract if he was healthy throughout, looked awesome, looked like borderline, MVP conversation Giannis? Would they entertain if they thought, well, we could play one more year and he could leave, but also we could have a chance to win a title? Like, do you think they'd entertain a different reality than the one they're outlining, if not for the type of injury-riddled season he just had?
Probably not, if most of the rest of this year was the same. They're under 500 with him this year. So I think it would be just such a leap of faith, not just in like him sticking around or you winning the title, but like, we talked about Doc, and like the coaching clearly does not seem up to par and is not up to par with like the other good teams in the league. And that, I think that's putting it gently, but I think that's just true. So either you're hoping that it gets better, or you have to go find someone new. And the last time they did that, it was an abject disaster, right? There's no other way to put it. I mean, the record was fine, but they mutinied the guy and the org didn't stand up for him. And now here we are. So you have to solve that. You have to improve the roster. You have to figure out, what are we going to do with this draft pick, with the future draft pick? So it's like, even trying to do that in a way, you're probably using future assets, right? Like, otherwise you're mostly running back the same team. You pick a guy in around 10, like maybe you get lucky. It's like Darius Acuff and he's awesome. He looks like he may go sooner, but it's not going to be, you're probably not getting AJ DeBansta to just drop on this team. Like, so what basically what I'm saying is, I think no, because unless they have some crazy offseason, what makes them think, oh, we could actually do that? And like enough for it to be worth the risk. I think you'd have to be like the 22 team in that spot where they just they pushed the Celtics to 7, but Chris wasn't healthy. Like, we'll get healthy. The team is here. The coach is here. Without that, though, I think and even that would be really risky. But in this situation, I think no way.
I only ask because of the early point that we were discussing, because in the past we've seen the Bucks do things that don't really make all the sense in the world because they're the Bucks and because it's Giannis. But this does seem like that hypothetical that I threw at you does seem like a little bit of a reach. I want to plainly straight up ask you if you think the Bucks are well run, but what would your answer? Give me a one-word answer if I were to ask you that.
No.
Okay, so let me ask it differently. To what degree do you think the Bucks are poorly run right now? Like, talk about the way that they're poorly run.
Yeah, for me, and I'm not going to sit here and do like every single thing that Doc does wrong or every single thing Horst has done wrong. I think there is plenty, but I think they're the largest, most problematic issue for me that makes me firmly say no is they're doing the wrong things and not in conjunction with each other. Like there's discord between the coaching staff and the front office, and it ties back to that incredibly risky Turner gambit. And the reason I think that move looks so bad right now, and I think it was always going to look relatively bad if they didn't have a good year, is Doc clearly does not favor Miles Turner, right? Like we see Jericho Sims play more in fourth quarters, and Jericho Sims, great year. Not taking anything away from him. He's more limited in what he can do, but the things he does well, he does really well. He is like All NBA posted the stats, the All NBA pod, like 2 of the top like 10 pick and roll combinations in the league are just the Bucks point guards and Jericho Sims because he's just such a great roller and lob man, and he's shooting like 83% from the field. But that's a veteran minimum player versus a guy that you gave $100 million plus. And again, wave and stretch Dame, dumped all your second round picks to trade Pat Connaughton to wave and stretch another guy to make the money work to bring him in. That's a huge glaring issue, right? Put Turner aside. Even if Turner played well, if he's not being used, if he's falling out of favor for a veteran minimum guy, that should be impossible, right? Every stakeholder in the organization should have agreed, we are going to do this for this guy because this is the guy that, not to the honest degree, right, but we're kind of building the team around him. That's how much you put into it. It's like, this is a guy that's going to be a major part of our team, and he's an afterthought. I mean, don't ask me. Kyle Kuzma said a couple months ago, like, yeah, we don't really use Miles Turner offensively. After a game where Kuz had some assists to him, like, he's just kind of out there, and he has been. It's been obvious. So that, to me, just really sums it up of, like, there's no way you should be able to get this wrong. Turner's been a little disappointing himself, like, maybe you just get it wrong on the guy, but I think it's deeper than that, right? Like, I think he's had an okay season, and he's just like, he's not a focal point. So like, how would that even be possible given the investment? That to me is like, it feels like we're not running on we're not using the same playbook here.
I always thought the Miles Turner move at the very worst would result in them trading him and getting some assets for him down the line. At least it's a player on your books, which Dame Lillard basically wouldn't be able to. But he's been so meh. And like, I don't know, what are you going to get for Miles Turner on that contract? I don't think you're going to have to entice teams to take him with draft picks, but I don't think you're getting some, a nice little golden parachute alongside Giannis if you decide to sell to rebuild.
No, and I think it'd be kind of crazy unless you just really need him for the salary to trade him this summer, because I do think there's still a good player there. I mean, the guy's a 7-footer who can block shots. He's shooting like 39% from 3. Like, if they're running a lot of pick and pops and specific things for him, I think the numbers would go up pretty rapidly, frankly, for Turner. So I would try to make the bet there. Like, can we get a better infrastructure around him? Can we utilize what we have in Miles Turner? And then he looks a lot better. And then you're back to the place of like, maybe we get something for him if we do have to trade him. But that's another, like, I feel like they've not done a good job selling high on any asset. I mean, like Chris Middleton, it went so poorly at the end. Brooke Lopez just walks away. Like,
could be trending that way with Giannis too. I mean, we could end up.
Yeah, let's hope not. And then the 24 draft, which again is just like, those guys never had a shot to play on the team. It felt like AJ Johnson and Tyler Smith and 2 top 35 picks. Like, teams turn those picks into rotation players all the time. Just like, what's going on here?
You think 30 seconds is wrap up? You think the Celtics are just going to win the East? Is that what we're in for?
Yeah, 100%. It's horrible. It's awful. It's like the worst case.
So a year ago, younger Grant would have raged over that. I would have been furious. And now I watch, it's like, I don't know. They did a bunch of smart things. Like, how am I supposed to be mad about this?
They're the one I point to as well. If it's like, oh, what should the Bucks have done? Their best guy was out for almost the whole year. Their team sucked. Like, they had 3 good players and a bunch of just randos that they drafted and developed and used the G League team. They got them a bunch of minutes down there. They have a consistent system, and it's clearly was more possible. And they're the gold standard, and the Bucks clearly are not measuring up right now.
Ty Windisch, the Euro Step Podcast. You will be chronicling and covering all of this. I like listening to your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch. Do you have anything else coming, like, say, early next week that people can look for?
Yeah, we're starting our draft prospect series. So we're going to do 1 prospect per week. We're going to start with AJ DeBansta, who's knocked out but looked awesome. So excited to go down the line and get gradually less excited, but see who may be the newest Buck come draft day.
It's lottery ball season. Appreciate it, Ty. Thank you for the time. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks, Grant.
Ty Windisch, Euro Step Podcast. Appreciate his time. Again, it's less because, look, I know the show. I know this audience. I don't think a vast majority of the people who listen to the show are like, we need Bucks coverage, especially this year. But a big story that comes out about how, well, we don't know who's in charge, and the owners are all different cooks in the same kitchen, and who knows what the GM even does. Oh, yeah, and guess what? This summer, they need to make probably the most important decision the franchise has made since, like, I don't know, they traded Ray Allen. That's the stage has been set for that. And the stage is covered in grease and the lights are broken and the curtains don't really open. Like, that's where we are. So that would be a story if it was the Packers, if it was the Brewers, if it was any of our teams. There's some big story that's coming out and say, hey, no one even knows who's in charge over there. We'd be covering it. All right, we can get back to Badgers basketball. We can talk about the Brewers. They've announced Jacob Mizorowski as the opening day starter, so we can get to that on the other side. Your phone calls on whatever. It's a Free Phones Friday, a Fish Fry Friday, a Fins Up Friday. Can you believe it? We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Right to your phone calls at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I don't know if this counts as an NCAA Cinderella story, but one of the Marquette players said he had help making his uniform from a bunch of singing mice and birds. We could nip March Madness in the bud if we watch for the warning signs of brooding antisocial February fever. Who is writing this?
Well, March Madness humor. Little levity after the Badgers lost to a 12 seed yesterday. Get back to talking Badgers hoops. We can continue with our Bucks conversation as well. Big story at ESPN today. Basically, it's a little bit of a mess at the top in the Bucks organization. Not totally shocking, but I thought that mess was kind of contained to the roster and the coach. Turns out it goes a little higher. That's not a big deal, right? It's not like they have a big decision to make on Giannis. Okay. The Brewers have also announced that Jacob Mizorowski is their opening day starter, which I think we probably all would have guessed, but you never know until it's announced. Of course, it's a free phones Friday, so we can talk about whatever you want. 608-321-1670. Let's go to the phones. Wisco Sports Show. Who's us?
Grant, my man, it is Lee from Appleton, Wisconsin this time. How you doing?
Lee, are you at a Gregapalooza? The visuals and the sounds on Over the Line this morning was just outstanding theater. It was great.
Oh, I'm outside of Greg's house here. You know, I had to get out of the, conundrum of the garage. It's great. We got, the TVs everywhere, people. So it's a big party. It's nice to stare at my GMC Duramax Denali HD in the sunlight here. Thankfully, Greg's sidewalk is shoveled.
Okay.
I can't say that for most of Appleton. I know you got a lot of time to fill on the Milwaukee Bucks and the Giannis thing. Yeah, it's all good. I'll simplify it for you, and I hate to do this, but the Bucks and Giannis have a wink-wink agreement to where he's either going to sign the next Supermax contract he can get in October, or else 6 months later, like a year from now, next March. Whenever he signs that contract, then he'll be traded because he doesn't want to get Luka Doncic, if that makes sense. Sure. The Wisconsin Badgers, we were at the bar, we were cheering. It's a bar in Appleton called The Bar. I know we're real creative in Appleton, but it was amazing, great atmosphere, and we missed you today, and we hope that you will be here next year. And if not, we're just gonna gag and tie you and throw in the back of the Duramax. But when they're running a 2-3 zone, and I knew this from 6th grade. I know not everybody was coached by a WIA Hall of Famer like myself. Shout out to Robert Constantly, who was my high school coach, great coach from Westby.
Go Norse.
That's right. Well, we have to say Westby Norse, to be politically correct.
Inclusive. Okay.
Or the Lady Norse or the Norse, whatever. I was taught this in 6th grade by his assistant, is when you run a 2-3 zone, somebody fights for position at the high elbow, you get the ball and it's either a shot or you attack the rim. And then it's easier shot if you attack the middle of the floor, or you dump it off to the short corner, or another option, kick it out to the corner 3, which is, if I was watching the game correctly, I know I was a little bit intoxicated. I think John Blackwell had quite a few corner 3s, and he's been hitting them pretty well.
He did in the first half. He had a couple big ones.
Yeah, and how many corner 3s did he have in the rest? And he had two turnovers in the last 2 minutes, which is pretty pathetic. One of them, the guy's trying to grab the ball and he just tries to big time him, like, who do you are? And then he puts his foot on the baseline like a dope. Yeah. And then the other one, you get past, they pass and inbound the ball to him. and he reaches out with one hand. Yeah, he got a little foul, sure, but they're not going to call that all the time. You have to grab that ball with two hands, like that ball represents your NCAA tournament career and how you will be judged and remembered for the rest of, our lives. I mean, I know he'll be on to bigger and better things, but he's not an NCAA player. He's not an NBA player. People keep saying he's he's going to go in the NBA. Yeah, well, when I see it, I'll believe it. And Grant, I'll ask you this question, and then I'll hang up. Could you tell me, please, what time or what channel the Brewers will be on available for TV this summer? Thank you, Grant. Appreciate the show.
Of course, Mississippi Drew, or not Mississippi Drew, Lee over in Westby, up at Gregapalooza. I would recommend that you just get in your Duramax HD, all black, all options available, fully loaded. Just listen to the game on WK2I. 580 AM, 96.7 FM. It's nothing better than being over there in the Cooley region listening to the games. I was going to ask, although we were chatting for a while, if Mississippi Drew had made it over. I know that he didn't. I guess I wonder if his Toyota would have been able to traverse the entire state. I know Lee's Duramax had no issue, clearly. I wonder if Mississippi Drew's vehicle would have held up on the ride, or maybe he would have had to get a lift from some Mennonites or some Amish folk in a carriage to see him the rest of the way. I just don't know if the Toyota would have made it. But then again, I don't know. I haven't asked him. I know he wasn't there. He sang the national anthem on the air this morning, but he was in absentia. He was on the phone. 608-321-1670. Right back to it. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, this is one of the excessively drunk people calling in from Gregapalooza. Wisco Greaves in the YouTube chat wants to know the over-under. Well, we're at 2 right now, so.
Over-under what?
The over-under of excessively drunk people that are calling in from Gregapalooza.
We're clearing. Hey, I saw a clip of you singing karaoke last night, Big Ron.
Yes.
What if I were to play 10 seconds of that audio on the show? Would that be an invasion of your privacy?
That would be totally fine. My voice was hoarse from yelling all day at March Madness game.
Okay.
And you can tell it's pretty hoarse now.
It was pretty bucked up. Yeah, I agree that's what you said.
Pretty bucked up.
Did you take High Point? I can't remember.
I took High Point hard. Dude. I made a lot of money on High Point.
I hate when you're right about things, but I understand it. I don't like it.
NIL is ruining college sports. Our 13-team player parlay is about to hit here.
You've been talking for a week or two now about how, upsets are dead in March Madness. And I said, well, hey, Big Ron, can we just wait a little bit? Can we see? And what do we get? The first morning of the first day, we get a 12-5 upset. So I don't know. The demise of this tournament and the mid-major, I think, has been a little exaggerated.
Okay, I'll give you that, and I've been on a 3-day bender. I've been in Wisconsin since Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'm on a 3-day bender, and I have a checklist, and I've hit the Quick Trip, I've hit Spotted Cow, I've hit Cheese Curds, I've hit a supper club, I've hit getting drunk with friends, new and old, and a garnished bloody with a chaser. The only thing left on my list are Friday fish fry, and I think today is Friday. Fins up Friday.
Correct.
By the way.
Correct.
And Culver's Butterburger and frozen custard. That's the only 3 things left on my list.
You're gonna hit the slam, Big Ron. Well, enjoy Gregapalooza. I want to get to one more caller this break. I want to keep seeing good videos and tweets being posted by you guys up there in Appleton. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, man. What channel is the Brewers on on DirecTV?
I'm not sure. Big Ron, I appreciate it. I have DirecTV Stream. There are no channel numbers. I don't know. Just go to the guide, scroll. It'll be there. I promise. I mean, if they get the deal done. Now, if they don't get the deal done, then it won't be there, but that won't be an issue of you not knowing the number. It just won't be there. I see that this is going to be a bit, and it's a funny enough recurring bit. I'll allow it. One more call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant.
Hey, Ed. I thought maybe for a second this would be Kinger, who's I think also at Gregapalooza, and I'd have to hear yo. But this is nice too. What's up, Ed?
A Big Ron, man. He's on a bender. That diet is crazy. I don't know, man. That's a lot of cholesterol going into that system.
Well, they don't call it. Big Ron's like 6'6". I'm pretty sure he's huge. He's not fat though. He's just tall. I mean, he's big, but he's not.
He's solid. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, we'll give him that.
Okay.
Well, listen, this has been a really tough day. It's going to be a tough 7 months till the next season starts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone wants to pass blame on Greg Gard. I don't know. I had him picked to go to the Elite Eight, but that's over. And I just tore up my whole system. I just throw it up during the garbage. I was done. I'm so sick of it. I've not been so physically ill from a Badger loss like I was yesterday. I picked this team to go far, and I picked them because they were loaded, they were ready to go, and they had the right players. But you know, this IL thing, I really think this is really tough so if everybody's lamenting and talking about the way it used to be, we all know that's a bunch of garbage, because back when Decker and Big Tank and Gasser and Russ were playing, they were there for 4+ years. This is going to be the hardest time for Gard. And, you know, I was talking to G-Man, Mr. Gasper, and he said, you know, I have a lot of faith in Gard, and I think everybody just needs to chill out. But this IL thing could be the worst thing that ever happened to basketball, obviously, because players are just coming and going and coming and going. There's no camaraderie. There's no gelling.
Sure. So, okay, Ed, I'm gonna cut you off right there, not because I don't want to talk with you more, but because that's the point I want to. Before you say something else, I just want to cover that. College sports have certainly been impacted in lots of ways by NIL. Everyone does realize, though, that Wisconsin's best player this year, Nick Boyd, was bought by Wisconsin and brought from somewhere else. Rap and roadie, too. Biliauskas, I would also say, is more of a modern product of college basketball. So Wisconsin's not losing in the tournament because of NIL. I thought they've been very savvy operators in this new NIL world of college basketball. It's that the guys who are their best players, some of whom, you know, paid for with NIL money, get to the tournament and they don't play very well. So that's more the situation. We'll take a quick break, come back. I want to make sure we have a couple minutes before the end of the hour. 3 minutes. Be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin weather doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we make upgrading your home simple. Right now, order today and get 0% interest until 2032. You heard me right. 0% interest all the way until 2032. Upgrade your windows and doors now and pay over time without paying interest. With our 10-year limited warranty, you can feel confident in your investment. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2026.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. I'm doing some finagling on the live stream just because that's the best way that I have to be able to play this audio of Big Ron belting karaoke here last night at Gregapalooza. I think this is of general interest. This is one of the crazier clips I've ever received. I think Vagabond John sent me this clip, if I remember correctly. I got a text late last night. It was a video, and I think that's Big Ron, who I've hung out with before. He lives up to his name. I think he's all of 6'6". Here's a little Big Ron singing karaoke.
She kept her motor clean. She was the best damn woman that I ever seen. She had your size. She telling me no lie. Knocking me out with those American thighs. Saying love with a chair. Had me fighting for it.
Attaboy, Big Ron. Oh my God. No wonder he's a little hoarse today. Let's take a call here as we wrap up the first hour. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
You know the Brewers going to be playing on TV these days.
Z and the D?
Yeah, my friend.
Are you guys just taking turns at Gregapalooza calling the show? I appreciate it, by the way, because I'm not there,
Well,
but it's nice
first
to feel somewhat included.
Okay, well, I'm not at Gregapalooza anymore. I'm back at the apartment because
you're back in the D.
Yeah, I'm back in the Appleton in the D.
Oh.
But I'm going to go back out. But you know what? This is not a sprint. It is a marathon. So you need to take naps. And naps are crucial.
Naps.
And Mike and Portage is here too.
Tell Mike and Portage hello. How's Kinger doing? I saw Kinger on the live stream this morning, but I didn't know it was Kinger. I've never seen him before. So I'm like, who's the guy sitting on the couch? I saw G-Dub, Mike and Portage, you, and then another guy at the end. I'm like, I think that's Kinger.
It was Kinger. Kinger already went back home.
Well, he's got a lot to do. I used to really not like Kinger, but he's actually one of my favorites now. I think I'm more like Kinger than maybe anybody else who calls these shows.
The funny thing is that Kinger last night came alive. I've never seen this side of Kinger ever, and it was hilarious. And it was amazing.
Well, doesn't he work the night shift? So that's probably more his time, isn't it?
No, he passed out at the bar drunk.
Oh, okay.
But he also got drunk in front of us. It was like hilarious because the person that he was amazing. He was dancing. He was just singing along, having a good old time. And Kinger doesn't do that usually.
No,
Kinger keeps to himself. He's an introvert.
Respectfully. Well, no, and I appreciate it. Z, have fun. We're just up against the end of the hour here. I say this respectfully to Kinger. I've never heard him string more than 4 or 5 words together. He's a very punctuated speaker, let's say. He'll say a couple of words, and then Ebo will fill in the gaps. Bet Kinger calls early in the show now. He used to call in the 9 o'clock hour, and I don't know. Kind of miss the guy. He used to just be so annoyed by him, and now I'm like, actually, he might be my favorite caller. So we're gonna take a break. Get Zach's update in here. Come right back to the phone calls. Maybe more from Gregapalooza.
She kept her motor clean. She was the best damn woman that I ever seen. She had your size. She telling me no lie. Knocking me out with those American thighs. Saying love with a chair. Had me fighting for it.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update
Well, Wisconsin's basketball season is done after losing to High Point yesterday afternoon in Portland. It marked the end of a year with some great wins in the regular season, but another early exit in March for Greg Gard. He's now lost to 3 number 12 seeds since 2019 and has just 1 win in his last 3 tournaments. And there's plenty of uncertainty moving forward with Nick Boyd, Braden Carrington, and Andrew Rohde leaving, while the futures of John Blackwell and Nolan Winter are in question. Gard knows they'll need to flip quick to off-season mode to keep the team together the best they can.
I mean, it's you got to reconstruct the roster, and we've already been working on retention, trying to work through that. That's obviously our front office GM in that whole world. That's the new reality of this. It's you start back over, put the pieces together, and we'll walk that forward.
Wisconsin finished the season at 24-11. They have not made it out of the first weekend of the tournament since 2017. Turn to the Bucks. They're still out west after getting hammered by the Jazz last night. They'll make their way to Phoenix to take on the Suns tomorrow night. There's just 13 games left in the season. Milwaukee poised to miss the playoffs for the first time in more than a decade.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, Brewers opening day now less than a week away. Crew going to get things started next Thursday when the White Sox come to American Family Field. And the Wisconsin football team getting back on the field for practice number 2 of spring tomorrow morning. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
I don't think it diminishes necessarily what Nick Boyd did this year, but I think we will think about him and John Blackwell differently, even though they, put together, how many points they have? 49 together today? Was it 27 and 22?
Yeah.
So, they were essentially the 2 that showed up. Austin Rapp had, I think, 12 as well. But you would think of this group differently if they had gotten to the second weekend.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys, those specific guys I'm saying, those with what Nick Boyd's legacy here is in Wisconsin. Great Badger, great player, but I don't know that we're going to be thinking about him for years.
It's hard to say this was a great team just based on how it ended.
Why you say that?
Well, tell me, make the case.
Great team. Why not?
In terms of how this ended?
Great teams make it the March Madness. High Point's a great team. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
All right, hour number 2. Appreciate Big Ron for his musical stylings. Gregapalooza going on up in Appleton. For those who aren't aware, you're like, what's that? Is that at a bar? No, it's just at G-Dub's garage. And it's a pretty bitchin' party. And Ebo did a show from there this morning. A lot of over-the-line listeners, zone callers were there. Big Ron, Kingers, Z and the D, Mike and Portage, Vagabond John, Lee and Westby. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple, and I apologize. Very engaging radio this morning, very on brand with the show in the best way. And Kate chiming in and playing referee a little bit as well, especially when Dave from Monona started to take some shots that were maybe a little over the line. Fitting the name of the show, to be fair to Dave from Monona. All right, right back to the call. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, Matt in Cross Plains.
Hey, Matt in Cross Plains. Now, you're one of the hardcore over-the-line folks. Are you at Gregapalooza?
No. I was at the Moon Bar, though, yesterday. I got to see you for a brief moment on FaceTime.
That's it. I was thinking, I saw someone sent me a picture of you, or I saw you in a video, but you were at the Moon Bar yesterday for the Badger game with Ebo and Kate. That's right.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the Cubs. Maybe next year I'll go to Gregapalooza. Maybe next year will be the year.
Maybe
next year. I'm hoping. But, I don't know if I can hang with Z and the D, man. I'm a sprinter. I'm not a marathoner usually, so I would be probably passed out right now.
Yeah, but anyway, Z saying you got to take naps. I don't think so, Z. I don't think so. I think you just got to pace yourself. I think Z probably had 3 or 4 beers right away and got all jacked up and was running around the room and then needed to go to sleep. Whereas a gentleman would have paced himself a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, I have trouble pacing myself. I had a few beers yesterday and some tequila and, all that good stuff. And then I didn't have to go back to work, so that was fun.
All right.
But anyway, like I agree with you. NIL hasn't ruined the Badgers. I mean, we had AJ Storr. He played horrible in the tournament. He was in with us. Then Tanjay, he had a hell of a game against BYU, in the second round to try to get to the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, we got beat. And then, Nick Boyd, man, 27 points with John Blackwell, 22 points. I mean, the only problem with all that is right, you don't actually get to develop anybody anymore because, guard is constantly under fire from, people who don't like him. He's got to keep winning, so he's got to keep trying to come up with these superstars. I mean, we got guys that we could develop. We got Jack Robinson, he's like Minnesota's state 3-point shooting leader, a scoring leader.
Yep.
Guy that has barely sniffed the floor, and I mean, we saw a little bit of it this year with Hayden Jones and Garlock and Kinzinger. I mean, I think we got a good core moving forward, especially with these two new recruits coming in, Travion Fenderson and Marcus Ball.
Yep.
And then hopefully we get Khan's brother, Cager. I think it's Cager. Come on, Cager, come play for the Badgers for a couple of years, buddy. And we'll hit that Sweet 16 soon enough. So just got to keep cheering and keep hoping, we develop guys that, it's got to be a little better mix, in my opinion, rather than trying to get these superstar guys, and hopefully Blackwell and Winter stay one more year. Why not? Nate Reavers did, Steve Crowell did, why can't they stay another year? So anyway, that's my take.
I appreciate all that, Matt, and Cross Plains. I think eventually if they keep building teams like this and having seasons like this, they'll break through. I know some fans don't want to hear it. The one red flag to me, and Zach mentioned this when he joined Debo this morning on Over the Line, the concerning part is they were coming up short in the tournament playing a certain way, and then they adapted the way that they play, and now are still coming up short. So it can't be play style. They went from defense to offense. It can't be NIL because they're killing it in the portal. Greg Gard is the constant. I really like Greg Gard. Under no circumstance would I want him replaced. No, but those are the facts. It's not my opinion. I'm not presenting it any certain way. He's been the one underlying piece. They've changed play styles. They've changed rosters. They've changed assistant coaches. Culturally, they've changed. The sport around them has changed. And still, they are first round, basically upset merchants. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Mississippi Drew. How's it going?
Mississippi Drew. Now, I am well. Were you thinking about maybe going to Appleton for Gregapalooza and you just were concerned that maybe your Toyota wouldn't make it, or what was the decision for you?
No, in fact, we can carpool next year if you want. Okay. I will pick you up on the way.
What if I say I want Lee to get me instead? Well, can Lee drive us all? He's got a Duramax Denali, all options available.
Well, I don't know if he'd want to come this way, but yeah, I mean, I'd be good with riding with Lee.
I love how we're having a stupid conversation about trucks, and then you have to make it literal and be like, well, yeah, it would be out of his way though. It's like, yeah, but that's not the. Anyway, whatever. Go ahead. What's up, Mississippi Drew?
I'm a little slow. You got to.
No. You're not. It's just making me laugh. That's all. Well, I'm all the way up here in La Crescent. I mean, Lee would have to go out of his way. Yeah, of course he would. He'd have to go out of his way to get me too, but that's not. Go ahead.
So how you drink at a party like that? I mean, man, it can really vary. I mean, I'm at this weird in between stage, where like I don't really want to go like when you're in college, and yet like I'm also not quite to the point where like I want to be like the Bills crowd, like I don't know. It's a weird spot.
Me or the Bill Michaels crowd?
Bill Michaels crowd. I'm not quite there yet. I mean, I do like to just sip on whiskey and talk and stuff, but I don't know. I like a little spiciness too, like, and I don't like talking about like portfolios and stuff like that. But
just about
your I wish I had this. I don't even like talking about that. I never even started that.
That's true.
But this morning I wish I would have thought of this analogy, because I know how much Evo loves Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I honestly think this is just a classic case of overlooking your opponent. I really do. And so can you shift some of that onto guard? I would say probably, heck yeah, you probably can. But I mean, it just so reminds me, that part in Rocky where he comes out and he's getting the crap kicked out of him at first, but then he starts sticking him here and there, especially to the body and stuff. And Apollo goes back to his corner, and his corner guy says he thinks it's a damn fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same thing. And then once you are rocked, and you're like, it's really hard to grab that momentum and get in the right mindset without a little bit of fear and doubt setting
Sure.
in at the same time.
So I like this take, Mississippi Drew. I'm a big fan of this take. Appreciate the call. I love the take. And I have worded that take, there's that underdog component, overlooking your component. And I think the sibling or the step sibling or the cousin of that take is some of these opponents that the Badgers matched up against have looked more jacked up to play the Badgers than the Badgers have looked jacked up to play them. I like this little take universe that we're living in. I think it's good. I just don't think it applies yesterday. They were up 15-5. They came in throwing haymakers. If they were overlooking their opponent, they would have been punched in the mouth early and trying to recover the whole game. That wasn't the case. So I love the take. I think there are times where it's applied, and I think there's a lot of truth. There can be a lot of truth. There's basketball analysis buried in there. I just don't think it applies to the game that took place yesterday. Does that make sense? Let's take another call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant Bills, how we living?
Vagabond, I thoroughly enjoyed your segment at Gregapalooza on the couch earlier today with Ebo.
That was probably peak drunk. I have no idea what I said, but I'm sure it was, rambling nonsense.
I liked, it's something that I'm going to talk about before the show's done. I liked your take about, everyone thinks their Wisconsin sports teams are cursed. That's just what it's like to compete when all your teams are in the mix. Occasionally they'll win a championship. We've seen 2 of them in the last 15 years. And a lot of them are going to come up short. So I don't like all the whining about how our sports teams are cursed. You talked about that this morning, which I liked.
Yeah, and then to, I guess, extrapolate that onto this specific Badgers team, we're not used to losing to bad teams because when you play with a slow tempo and you emphasize really good defense, bad teams have no idea how to play against that.
Sure.
If we were playing bow ball yesterday, we probably would have won. And then we would have got smacked by Arkansas and had no chance at keeping up with a team that can actually score, right? So if Wisconsin fans want to prioritize beating bad teams, right, and having no chance at actually competing at the highest level, right, unless you got a random 5-star from Sheboygan that just loves Wisconsin and wants to come, hey, I'm open to that anytime.
Mm-hmm.
But we chose this style so that we can compete in the portal market. We can get players excited to be here. But this style, the previous caller, he's talking about Wisconsin not showing up or disrespecting the opponent. This is 2 years in a row where we lost basically on the last shot in a game where both teams scored 90 points.
Yeah.
This is exactly the type of game that happens when you play this style. JMU, Iowa State, those are 2 totally different games. Those are 2 totally different styles. Those ones hurt me a lot more, right? These losses last year, this loss yesterday, I mean, it sucks because I was really excited to watch Blackwell and Boyd play a lot.
Yeah.
But this is March freaking Madness. And, when you play this style, the other team's going to hit shots. What would you I get Lee's trying to go into the zone. This is how you break it down. Wisconsin had no problem scoring.
No.
They scored a bunch. But this is what happens when you don't emphasize defense. You play up-tempo ball. If you get, it's March Madness. People are going to go nuts. This is what these players have trained their whole lives for. They're going to bang in a couple of shots. And their team's going to go home.
In March Madness, the magnet balls get turned on. That's just how it works. You just have to bake some of that in. So I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Last thing, I'm just curious if west of the Mississippi, do you have a radio station I could tune in for the Badgers or for the Brewers this summer?
Closest might be River Falls. That might be my guess.
Tune into River Falls. I'll check it out. Thanks, man.
Well, River Falls is the city, technically. River Falls, maybe. One of my favorite things in the world, I love maps. I could play around on Google Maps all day, zooming in and out. I just love it. I just love Google Maps. Or Apple Maps, whatever. Any map application. I'm not territorial over one or the other. I use Apple Maps on my phone. I use Google Maps on the computer. Oh, Google Maps was way better. They're the same. Bill uses Waze, and I'm like, whatever. I love kicking around on maps, but one of my favorite things is the radio affiliate maps. If you go to the Packers Radio Network page or the Brewers Radio Network page, and they have the blue and yellow state of Wisconsin with all the little dots where the affiliates are, network affiliates. And you can look at the affiliates in spreadsheet form too. It'll give you in a table in alphabetical order or whatever, but that's not presented so nicely. Nice little map. Yeah, I think your best bet there, Vagabond John's going to be WEVR, River Falls. But what I recommend you do, because I don't know that you're going to get that. Maybe you might. But you're all the way over in the cities. Just get the MLB app. I think it's like $20 a year, and you get all the radio feeds. It's the balls. I'm someone who likes an evening walk. It's like turning on a podcast. It's so convenient, and it's cheap. It's really cheap. So if that number hasn't changed, if I'm remembering correctly, that's what I would do. But the best you can do is River Falls. But go look at the maps. Oh, they're so fun. I love looking at the maps. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Well, things ain't always what they seem. Wake up, Grant. It's Mad Max from above the tunnels in Appleton.
Yeah, you're up in Appleton at Gregapalooza. Was everyone pretty jacked to see you and to meet you today, Mad Max?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I think the reception was pretty good. I mean, a couple people in your feed and on Twitter and all that were encouraging me to come, and I decided since I'd already taken the afternoon off, I figured I'd make the trip up here. So it's been great though. This has been a really cool location, and I think next year I'm going to try to make more of a day, maybe even more of a night out of it.
It's quite the setup that G-Dub has up there, and it's quite the community. The callers and the listeners of Over the Line, especially. Some of them call and listen here, not all of them. It's a pretty good community.
Yeah, absolutely. And just ever since I started calling in, I mean, the community's been great to me, and they've welcomed me and embraced me, I feel like. So I felt like I should get up here and meet the crew, and it's been a really great time.
Have you guys discussed the tunnels at all?
Yeah. I've been trying to wake people up. I've been trying to warn them about the latest nefarious deeds the cabal's plotting. So, I think people are open-minded at least, and open to getting their minds out of the matrix. But I do want to apologize to Wisco Greaves. I'm not helping the cause for the over on drunken callers from up here because for a couple of reasons. For one, I did give it up. I did sort of give it up for Lent, so that's kind of the main reason. But two, the cabal is very strict on alcohol consumption in the tunnels, so it's not really a good idea to do too much drinking and tunneling. So I got to get home tonight to Racine. So I decided it would be best to take it easy.
Drinking and well, it's not safe. Drinking and tunneling, it's just not.
It's probably even less safe than drunk driving, just because there's not as much space, and and it's darker, and there's nothing on the sides. So it's just not something I wanted to mess around with tonight.
Especially with the interstate expansion, it's going to even be safer on the roads. The DOT ain't making the tunnels any bigger. Let's just put it that way.
That's true. I've been trying to lobby them for the last couple of years to do that, but they're all big into the roads and whatnot, which I don't blame them. I am all for improving infrastructure, no matter if it's interstate, parking lots, tunnels, you name it. But I do hope that tunneling gets a priority in the future.
Do you like the improvements to the ballpark that Rick Schlesinger has talked about? The lots specifically.
I think the plaza is okay, just as long as it doesn't cut in too much to our tailgate culture, which it doesn't seem like it is for now, but we'll see. Oh, and one more thing I do want to point out is that I do have inside information on the tunnels for where the games are going to be broadcast, but I cannot reveal that information at this time. But I do know some things that people don't, down here in the tunnels. So there'll be more to come on that.
Oh, well, we'll stay tuned. Enjoy your weekend. I guess we'll wait in suspense on that.
And did you see the Brewers news? I don't know if you mentioned that but the news kind of just broke that the Miz is going to be the opening day starter. So I think he's going to throw 105 combined with the adrenaline and some caffeine. I think he's going to be breaking some records in the radar gun.
I hope so. I think so. The joke is, appreciate it, Mad Max. It's a little bit earlier in the year to be starting an opener. Miz, but I don't even know who else it would be at this point. Something that I'm just going to choose to ignore tonight, by the way, is the fact that Brandon Woodruff's throwing like 86, 87 mile an hour fastballs. We're just not going to talk about that. We're just going to elect to ignore that. Congratulations to Jacob Izrowski, opening day starter. our Prince. Let's come back. I do have a couple of sports things I want to hit, including some audio, some comments from a player at the University of Virginia that struck me after his team avoided an upset in a closely fought classic March Madness game earlier. It just got me thinking about some things with the Badgers players and some of the things that I heard after their loss. So we'll talk about that next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin weather doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we make upgrading your home simple. Right now, order today and get 0% interest until 2032. You heard me right. 0% interest all the way until 2032. Upgrade your windows and doors now and pay over time without paying interest. With our 10-year limited warranty, you can feel confident in your investment. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. 3/31/2026.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Sorry, there's been a computer glitch here today that I forgot about. Sorry, back just a second or two late. It's a Fins Up Friday and a free phones Friday to boot. So call me on whatever you want. We've covered the Badgers. We've covered the Bucks. Big story out at ESPN today. Got some reaction from Gregapalooza going on up in Appleton. Ebo show this morning, broadcasting live in G-Dub's garage. Some great audio and some great visuals, too. And last night, Big Ron singing karaoke. I'll have to play that audio again before the show is done. Been watching March Madness throughout the day, though. I can give you a couple of takes. I was watching Virginia and Wright State. Now, I had forgotten that Virginia, since winning their national title, and even before winning their national title, a lot of early exits in the tournament. Now, I don't know if they've been exiting as early and as consistently as Wisconsin, but a school that you could look at and say, good program, solid program, lots of winning, maybe underachieved in the tournament as of late. In fact, I was reading the AP, ESPN. Philadelphia is the byline. With Virginia burdened by years of early exits in the NCAA tournament, first-year coach Ryan Odom played for his team the 2019 One Shining Moment highlight package from the Cavaliers' national championship season. Odom had one more surprise. He paired one shining moment with clips of his season's Cavaliers to remind them of the heights he believed they could reach. Surviving the first round was a pretty good moment. Jakari White hit 6 3-pointers and scored 26 points. Third-seeded Virginia avoided yet another early NCAA tournament exit, beating a resolute Wright State 82-83 in the first round on Friday. Anytime I hear resolute, I think of the Resolute Desk, which makes me think of National Treasure 2, fantastic film. Maybe it's time for another Shining video. Now we actually have some footage of a tournament win, Odom said with a laugh. The Cavaliers will face 6th-seeded Tennessee or number 11 seed Miami of Ohio in the second round of the Midwest region on Sunday. Virginia hadn't won in March Madness since that 2019 title. The Cavaliers lost in the first round or the first four in 21, 23, 24, and title-winning coach Tony Bennett abruptly retired before last season. Odom took over this season and quickly turned the program around. Odom knows all about Virginia's upsets in the tournament. He coached UMBC in 2018 when it was the first number 16 seed to knock off a number 1, yes, Virginia. Of course, we all remember. I was not paying attention to this game other than just I had it on in the background. I had forgotten all of the background of Virginia and their early exits, and I knew Tony Bennett had left and the team, really wasn't going on tournament runs, even though they looked pretty good, but I had kind of forgotten some of that. The reason that I circled back to remind myself of what had been taking place with Virginia and their recent tournament struggles is I saw this interview with Jakari White, who, as I mentioned, hit 6 threes, scored 26 points. Big part of the reason the team avoided an upset. I saw this clip of him talking with Evan Washburn of CBS. I'll just roll it.
You put this team on your back. What was the mindset when you sensed they were trying to pull up an upset and you took this team and made sure that didn't happen?
Man, I just did us. Trusted, my work, what we did. And I just didn't want to go out like that, to be honest with you, honestly. But because it's my last year and I want to, go out with a bang, and I know I didn't want to go out like that. So, I just, I felt like I willed us to our victory. So
I didn't want to go out like that. It's my last year. I didn't want to go out like that. Now that jumped out to me because I listened to Nick Boyd and Nolan Winter talk yesterday, and Nick Boyd kind of obnoxiously in an exchange with Jim Polzin. Look, I'm not trying to rip on Nick Boyd. His exchange with Jim Polzin, we listened to it yesterday. Was it a great team? Was it a great season? Blah, 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 blah. That was fine. That was good. This comment stuck in my craw a little bit.
If there were no upsets in a sense, there would be no March Madness.
One more time, if you could make that out. He says, well, if there were no upsets, there would be no March Madness.
If there were no upsets in a sense, there would be no March Madness.
Now, this is true. However, I don't love hearing it after you were just the one who got upset.
If there were no upsets in a sense, there would be no March Madness.
Hi, Mom. Can I have a place to stay? The bank foreclosed on my house. Oh, Grant, that's terrible. What happened? Or have you been gambling? Have you? Well, foreclosures happen. It's the housing market. Well, yeah, they do, but you don't want to be the person saying that after you get your house foreclosed on. You just lost to a 12 seed in the tournament. I don't want you to be the guy to say, well, I can say it. I can say I'm just a media commentator. Fans can say it. They're trying to cope. When a player on a 5 seed, leading player, best player, comes up short at the end, is upset in the tournament, I don't want to hear them say that.
If there were no upsets in a sense, there would be no March Madness.
Correct. I agree. I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear that from you. Nolan Winter, cosplaying Christian Yelich, mentioned this yesterday.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
Well, that's just basketball. Well, then why am I watching? Just let me know who makes more threes, and I'll just, tip of the cap to that team. No need to watch. Just again, it's whoever makes the most threes. That's fine. If that's just basketball, that's just basketball.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
That's just basketball. Okay. I tweeted something about this, and this Jakari White fella, who basically said, I didn't want to go out like that. It's my senior year. I did not want to go out like that.
I just, did us, trusted, my work, what we did, and I just didn't want to go out like that, to be honest with you, honestly.
I didn't want to go out like that. I prefer that. I prefer that messaging to, well, if there weren't upsets in a sense, then there would be no March Madness. Or, the Christian Yelich coded, that's just basketball, which I hate.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
Correct. Thank you, Nolan. That's just basketball. If Wisconsin had won, certainly the comments from Nolan Winter and Nick Boyd would be different. Duh. I realize I'm comparing apples to oranges, but the thing about comparing apples and oranges is they are both fruit. So it's not, that's ridiculous. You're comparing apples and oranges. Well, you can compare an apple and an orange. You probably shouldn't compare an apple and a hammer or an orange and a Toyota Tacoma. Shout out Mississippi Drew. That would be ridiculous. Comparing an apple and an orange, that's comparable. They're both fruits. I can buy both at Woodman's.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
That's just basketball. Well, Grant, you can't compare what happened with Virginia and Wisconsin. Virginia won. So of course he's going to say, I was refusing to lose. Of course, apples and oranges, but they are both fruit. And I guess just in a larger sense, a sense larger than just the Badgers, I'm sick of my teams losing in big moments and then needing to listen to the best athletes on those teams come to the podium and be like, well, you win some, you lose some.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
And again, this is really driven by Christian Yelich, because I swear I can't watch that guy suck at bat after at bat after at bat after at bat. And then when he goes to the locker, the spokesman for the clubhouse that he is, I really like Christian Yelich, but this individual thing annoys me. So I'm not ripping him personally. I'm ripping this thing that he does. Christian Yelich goes 0 for 16 or whatever in the playoffs, doesn't have an RBI in a bajillion years. The team gets swept out by the Dodgers with an opportunity to go to the World Series, and Yelich goes, that's baseball. Yes, Christian, but I don't want to hear that from you. I want to hear that from the guy who had an awesome series, who refused to go down. His team loses right at the end because of a close ball strike call, a ball that ends an inch inside the chalk instead of an inch over. That's who I can hear that from.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
That's just basketball. Okay, well then why did I watch? Just let me know who makes more threes. Just call me when the game's done and say, hey Grant, just so you know, High Point made 15 threes, Wisconsin made 9. I said, oh well, that's very rich. Good luck to High Point moving forward. Simply, they must have won the game, because that's basketball.
Like I said, that's just basketball.
Correct, Nolan. That's what annoys me. It's not just the Badgers. I am sick of my athletes going out like a lamb in press conferences following games where they sucked. Nick Boyd didn't suck. Nolan Winter was average Nolan Winter, I guess. Like, oh, you got some rebounds and points. Sure. Yeah. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, this is Doug.
Hey, in Luxembourg?
First time caller.
Okay. Where are you calling from, Doug?
Shawano.
Oh, well, heck yeah, Doug. Thanks for calling in, and Shawano. What's going on? Doug from Luxembourg calls Bill's show a lot. You sounded a little bit like him, so I thought maybe it was you, but welcome.
Oh, yeah, no. I was going to give my take on the Badger game, because I've been asking my friends about the game, and what I noticed was lack of intensity.
Yeah.
And they were more scrappy, grabbing the rebounds, and we kept on yelling and watching him rebound the ball,
Rebound.
It was just rebound. You know what I mean? They didn't want it as bad as they did. And that's, and it's March Madness. I'm not surprised. We played well, but I don't know. That's the one take that I got from watching that, when I just watching it, it was just the intensity, the rebounds, No. I don't know. Did you think the same thing? Because my buddy's a coach, high school varsity coach, and I told him my take, and he's like, I didn't see that. And I'm like, how did you not see that?
So
that is the one thing that I saw.
So look, a coach, Doug, is always going to have a different perspective. All right, Doug and Shawano, I can remember that. Call back sometime. I appreciate it. It was good to hear from you. A coach is going to have a different perspective. So I tried to throw this at Zach yesterday. It's like, why does the other team always look more fired up? And Zach said, well, I don't really think that was true yesterday because Wisconsin came out. Their piss was hot, man. They were up 15-5. They came ready to go. So, Doug, when you say the other team wanted it more, the other team came ready, the other team had more energy, typically I look at the first couple of minutes of the game. Which team was ready? Which team brought the juice? And the Badgers did. I don't think they underestimated High Point. I don't think they sleptwalked into this game because they were up 15-5. Nick Boyd was talking. John Blackwell came with an edge. Like, that was good. So what you're describing, and I think I agree, when you're talking about intensity or energy or drive, I don't think it's your commentary or your critiques. It's not personal to the heart with which the players are playing. It's more the style they're playing. They don't play a style of basketball where the defense closes out really hard. They don't play a style of basketball that crashes the boards defensively really hard. That doesn't mean they didn't want it. That doesn't mean they didn't have any energy. It's a play style thing. I don't think they were allowing offensive rebounds to High Point because they didn't want to win. I think they were allowing offensive rebounds to High Point because they're not a particularly athletic rebounding team, which is frustrating because they were way bigger than High Point. They're way bigger. Nolan Winters, 7 foot. Austin Rapp's 6'10". Like he's basically a small center or a very large forward. They had size. They're just not a team that closes out hard, crashes the boards hard. They're a team that gets up and down the court playing offense, and they shoot a lot and they score. That's what they do. And as Zach said yesterday, in fact, I'll play you the cut here. Greg Gard probably has some soul searching to do this offseason, just like he did 3 or 4 years ago when he wondered, well, can we win tournament games playing offense like this? And the answer was clearly no. And they decided, okay, we need to become more of an offensive team in this modern world of college basketball. Now it feels like they've lost their way defensively. Like, are you capable of winning tournament games playing defense like this? Here's Zach Halpern from last night.
I think they played well offensively. They weren't good defensively. They were not good defensive rebounding wise. And the funny thing is we were sitting here. It might have been the Johnny Davis year, sitting there. How do you win games when you play offense this way? Mm-hmm. How can you win games? And now, on the other side of it, you play offense this way. How can do you need to be better defensively? Have you lost your way defensively? And he said yes. He said he was never satisfied with what they were defensively this year, and I agree. But I think if you're going to play college if you're going to win games in college basketball these days, it has to be the way that Wisconsin did it this year. Yeah. Because you're just not going to get guys to buy in, and you're not going to have them for 3 or 4 years to learn defense and all the different stuff that Wisconsin used to be. You're not going to have them. You're going to have them for 1 or 2 years, and you need them to be offensive-minded guys and try and outscore guys. That is what college basketball is right now in this current environment, and they've done a good job adapting to it. It still hasn't resulted in them getting to the second weekend.
So that's Zach Halpern yesterday. I agree. I think this is the style that they need to play. I think there needs to be a switch that gets flipped. It says, okay, but in these tournament games, we're going to close out a little bit harder. We're going to crash the boards a little bit harder. It's not a Tuesday night game at the barn against the Gophers, who perpetually stink for the most part. You're fighting against High Point, a team with some juice, and they're fighting for their season. And I don't think that's about Gard's coaching. I think that's some of the players on the roster who just play a couple gears too slow. And it got them yesterday. They weren't too small. They weren't getting babied on the boards because of their size. They just weren't crashing as hard. And I know their offense first. Sure, that's fine. And it's smart. As Zach just explained, I agree fully. But you need to be good enough at the other stuff. And they weren't. And they almost got away with it yesterday. Heck, they almost got away with it against BYU last year because they've been that good on offense. And Nick Boyd and John Tonje and John Blackwell have been that good. Blackwell not in the second half, Nick Boyd not in the first half, not on every possession, but on balance. But it's going to be really hard to string tournament wins together, defending and rebounding at that level. So that's something they got to figure out. We'll take a break, be right back. I want to talk about Wisconsin sports, big picture, and how I'm getting a little annoyed of everyone just being like, we're cursed. This is what Wisconsin sports teams do. They lose in the playoffs. I don't like it. We'll discuss next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I don't know if this counts as an NCAA Cinderella story, but one of the Marquette players said he had help making his uniform from a bunch of singing mice and birds. We could nip March Madness in the bud if we watch for the warning signs of brooding antisocial February fever. Who is writing this?
March Madness humor, stupid jokes. Norm MacDonald, my favorite kind. Couple of texts, 608-321-1670. Tim, not Tom in Madison says, what is your email? I'd rather send an email as I have some interesting stats. Grandpills21@gmail.com. Now, it's normally reserved for the Monday mailbag and every piece of junk mail imaginable. But I'll take your stats. Tim, not Tom in Madison. Mike in Portage says, we had 4 people in the backseat of the Denali last night, and I bet it would fit more. All options available. It's probably got a DVD player in there. Bobby Mnominy says, 106.3 reaches fairly well into St. Paul, loses it by Bloomington. Okay, Vagabond John. Talking about radio signals earlier. Is that the River Falls signal? Or is that Rice Lake? I feel like it's got to be River Falls. Gowdy Mike says, Grant, I'm on a road trip in Kansas. When we stop to eat, I will have a beer for you and in honor of Gregapalooza. Wow, Gowdy Mike, you're too kind. Gowdy Mike, I almost thought I was going to have to drive home from Denver this last weekend because we got our flight canceled through Frontier. We were coming back on Sunday, and then it snowed 2 feet between Minneapolis. We were flying into MSP. There were no flights on Monday except ones for like $1,200. And, well, I got money coming out of my ass, but I got a lot of things cooking right now, business ideas and such. I can't go blowing $1,000 on a flight. So we were going to wait, and there weren't any good options. Like, well, what do you think they would pay us to rent a car and then we could drive back? Luckily, it didn't come to that. They almost made us drive from Des Moines. Well, we would just fly to Des Moines. That's close. Yeah, Des Moines is very close to Minneapolis. Are there people walking around on this planet who don't constantly look at maps? Am I the only one? Jim in Cottage Grove, thank you. Your show is fantastic today. Keep it up. And in the 715 says, Boyd gives up as many points on defense as he scores. He's terrible on defense. Yeah, not great. I would agree. So we're caught up on text. Sorry. I've seen a lot of clips from other radio shows and posts from Wisconsin sports voices on Twitter. I'm not straw manning this, I swear. Sometimes I wonder what it's like to listen to the show if you're not on the internet a lot, because I just reference so much crap on the internet, which I should be better at. But also, it's where a lot of news is shared. It's where a lot of insight is found. It's our modern day Times Square, as Elon Musk said when he bought the platform that's now called X. Used to be Twitter. It's the Times Square. Or the town square, whatever, you know what I mean. I've seen a lot on the internet from other Wisconsin sports radio stations, Wisconsin sports writers, bloggers, people who tweet about Wisconsin sports. And it's a lot of, well, this Badgers loss is just another loss in a long line of Wisconsin sports failures in the postseason. We're cursed. We're cursed. We are cursed. We're cursed. I saw our friend Bart Winkler tweeting about this. I'm like, Bart, give me a break. I think this is cheap. I think it's cheap to watch one of our teams lose in the postseason and say, we're cursed. Why can't we have nice things? I would posit we do have nice things. We watched the Bucs win a title 5 years ago. We watched the Packers win a Super Bowl in 2010. For those of us who are a little older, it wasn't that crazy, insanely long ago. There was one in the late 90s. They won as well. It was a while ago, but we're not talking about a division round win. We're talking about a Super Bowl. Vikings fans have never seen one. Bears fans haven't seen one since 1985. Lions fans have never seen one, or they have, but it was a long time ago. So, folks, I'm not telling you that the Packers have actually won a ton of championships. And with Favre and Rodgers, you should be thrilled with just 2. Like, no, they've had opportunities to win more and come up short, but let's not act like we haven't had an opportunity to see our team on the mountaintop. The Milwaukee Bucks, an NBA team in a winter league that's based in Milwaukee, won a championship with a player they drafted with a story so incredible they wrote books about it. That's ours. We had that. Well, great. That was 5 years ago. Well, what do you want? Do you want one of our sports teams to win a championship every other year? The Badgers are probably never going to do it in either sport. They got close in 15. It sucks they didn't win it. I'll think about it the rest of my life, but man, I'm glad we had those teams. Cost of doing business. Wisconsin football, they've lost some Rose Bowls. Okay, well, I would have liked them to win those Rose Bowls, but the Orange Bowl was fun. They've had plenty. The Big Ten championship game, the one against Nebraska, I always remember. the Brewers, guys, they're the smallest market in baseball. Why do we lose in the playoffs? Because they're the smallest market in baseball. Realistically, what we're praying is that one of these years it goes our way, and it feels like maybe one of these years it will, and it hasn't, so that's frustrating. But I feel like I got to go chin up, folks, a little bit here. Our teams are so cursed. We have 2 Badger programs, the Bucks, the Packers, the Brewers. That's 5 teams, call it, who for basically my entire lifetime have all been good. The Brewers, not so much. Probably a third of my lifetime they've been good. The Packers have been good throughout. Badgers basketball has been good throughout. Badger football was almost good throughout. They've tailed off recently. The Bucks were good in the early 2000s. Then they got bad. They had a couple years in the teens. I feel like that's good for a team in that market. I've seen the Bucks win a title. I've seen the Packers win a Super Bowl. I've seen the Brewers play in an NLCS a couple of times. I'm sorry, that's not cursed. Cursed is Cleveland. And even Cleveland won a title. So not to tell anybody else how to do their business. This is my radio show. You can choose to listen to it or not. I just see other radio shows doing long think piece segments about how porked our teams are every posting. It's like, guess what? When your teams are good, that's what happens. We're so cursed. No, you're just, all the teams are contenders and it's hard to win a championship. And we've seen 2 of them. Feels like we would really benefit from a third. Another one from the Packers or the Brewers even making a World Series. Yeah. Yes, you're correct. We would benefit from a third. But acting like we're poverty, man. Have a little bit more pride in what a couple of your teams have accomplished. We'll take a break. Listen to a little Jimmy Buffett. It's a Fins Up Friday. One more segment coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
not only going out to Wisconsin and the great Midwest, we're going around the world tonight, Parrot Head.
Fins up. It's Friday here on the Wisco Sports Show. It's also, of course, a Fish Fry Friday. Where are you going for fish tonight? Bill going to Stoley's Hog Alley, which I believe is the spot he's told me before. Got that delicious rye bread, that salted rye bread. We're talking about cursed teams, and I'm like, Wisconsin fans, chill out. We've seen a couple championships, seen a lot of good wins. I'm telling you, we're Boston. We don't have dynasties. But you also got to figure one team's the Brewers and others the Bucks. Are those teams supposed to be racking up championships? Apologies. That's not exactly what I expected. Speaking of a bad fan base or a tough spot to be, Joe Nelson, Bring Me the News, tweeted this today. I thought I was misreading something. I saw Dr. Marte, Badgers account in the mentions, is why it popped up. Fun fact, Santa Clara led the Gophers 71-40 with 10:30 remaining in the second half this season. Minnesota rallied and lost by only 11 points, 86-75. Nico Medved's Gophers will be an NCAA tournament regular and a dangerous team beginning next season. The logic is the team that lost to Kentucky today led the Gophers by 29, and then the Gophers made it an 11-point loss. Could be worse. Could be worse. We got a pretty good Wisconsin sports fans. Not perfect. Could be better. I'm not fluffing up these teams. They've blown plenty of opportunities, but just a lot of miserable Wisconsin sports fans. I'm telling you, you haven't had it that bad. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this? One more call here.
Grant. Cinderella Man.
Cinderella Man. Well, of course. Well, I see you on the live stream. Have you ever called Cinderella Man?
I have not. No,
Okay.
no. I finally.
You suddenly, like we talk every day.
I got to muster up the courage somehow. But after listening to the last couple segments, I wanted to come in here and say, you're forgetting about the anchor of Wisconsin sports here, the Badger women's hockey team, which they're about to drop the puck here in a half hour.
So what's the situation? Give me a quick outline for those who maybe aren't in the total know of what they're playing for. Apologies.
Right now, Frozen Four, they're going up against Penn State here and most likely looking for a chance to have a rematch of the WCHA championship as well as the last couple of Natty championships against Ohio State.
So I didn't think they were to the championship game yet. So we're in the Frozen Four. Where's the Frozen Four this year?
Penn State is hosting.
Wisconsin sports teams are cursed. You're telling me the girls got to go play Penn State? That is actually really bad luck. What's the other thing? One more thing. Go ahead.
Oh, I just had a question, then I'll hang up and listen. But you got any info or intel on what channel the Brewers are going to be playing on this year?
Okay, Cinderella Man. That's a good call. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend. I have walked myself into this. It's a good bit. People keep asking what channel. Who's using channels anymore? My Roku remote just got the back arrow and the button with the 3 dashes, the OK, the moon button, which I always hit that on accident thinking it's the play button. It's the sleep timer. I don't use that. I don't need a television to fall asleep. I need a white noise machine set to a very specific setting and volume placed in a very special position in my room relative to where my head is. But I'm not a child. I don't need a TV to fall asleep. Can you imagine? Ron in Jersey, nice plain white t-shirt. Play some Hey There, Delilah. Big Ron, you are hammered, but thank you for watching the live stream. I am wearing a white shirt today. I didn't know how warm it was going to be. I had white t-shirt with a sweater over it. Now I'm walking around like a Hanes model today because I didn't want to sweat in my sweater all day. So there we go. Now we've covered literally everything. We've covered it all this week. Have a great weekend. Fish fry tonight. This is the best time of year. We're still in fish fry season. We're enjoying March Madness. But the days are getting a little bit warmer, longer, more light. I'm going to drive home tonight. It's going to be light outside. Can't wait. So we got it pretty good right now. And I know a lot of Wisconsin sports fans are like, we're so cursed. We have it so bad. It sucks watching your team lose in the playoffs. That's the price of being in the playoffs. That's the CODB, the cost of doing business, as we say. So chin up a little bit, Wisconsin sports fans. Sorry the Badgers lost. It sucks. And we talked about how it sucks, and we criticized the actors involved. And we'll get back to doing it next week. And then when the Packers start losing, we'll hammer them too. But all in all, I've seen the Packers win a title. I've seen the Bucks win a championship. The Brewers were unspeakably irrelevant for 30 years. Now they're in the mix. You got it pretty good. Cursed. Curse this, curse that. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of March Madness, the first weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday at 4.